There's a kind of calm that frightens people. Not the calm of silence, the calm that steals timing, breaks momentum, and makes chaos look slow. It's the calm warriors used to end duels in one breath. And today, you'll discover exactly how to get there. Your hands shake before the pitch. Your mouth dries before the exam. In arguments, your brain knows the right words until the moment arrives. Then everything fogs. Meanwhile, you've seen the other type. The person who stays ice cold as the room heats up, who answers pressure with poise and makes hard things look easy. What do they know that you don't? Miyamoto Musashi, undefeated in more than 60 duels, author of the Book of Five Rings, left a method for war that works in modern life. It fuses three ideas: Mushin, no mind under stress; Heiyoshin, everyday mind, calm as default; and timing, to seize initiative before panic seizes you. The catch? You must kill your addiction to certainty, attention to trivia, and the ego that needs to look composed instead of being composed. Before we begin, subscribe if you're serious about building unshakable composure, and comment the one situation where you most lose your cool. Let's begin. Raphael had rehearsed the opening line 100 times the night before. In his apartment, it sounded clean, measured, confident, almost musical. At the conference table, under the fluorescence of other people's expectations, the sentence arrived limping. His mouth felt like chalk. His vision tunneled so neatly around the first hostile face that the rest of the room disappeared. Slides blurred into white shapes. A familiar inner narrator began its sprint. You're late to your own words. Speed up, fill the silence, fix it. His shoulders crept up. The breath that should have been a friend turned into a locked door. He tried to force control and only squeezed harder on the panic. Somebody coughed. Someone else checked a watch with theatrical boredom. Pressure has a specific sound, the world hissing at you to move before you're ready. He moved. He rushed. He lost the thread. Afterwards, there is always the ritual, the spiral of what-ifs, the post-mortem that isn't learning but punishment. He sat on his couch with the laptop's glow on his face and searched for help with the same frantic energy that had wrecked him. He didn't want platitudes. He wanted something old and proven in the arena. That's when a line from an old translation caught him like a hand to the chest. Do not fix your eyes on one place. See broadly. The author, Miyamoto Musashi, was a name he knew the way people know constellations, vaguely, at a distance. But the sentence felt like medicine. He realized that when pressure hit, his attention collapsed into a straw. He was trying to aim through a hole that small and calling it focus. Panic isn't just a feeling, it's a geometry. It narrows. It makes time a hallway with no exits. That night he copied the line into a notebook in big letters and under it wrote, "I don't need more courage, I need more space." He kept reading. Musashi did not sound like motivation. He sounded like physics. Don't stare, don't clutch, don't argue with the present. See the whole. Move when the opening is there, not when your feelings finally grant permission. The words felt offensive to his habits because they suggested there was no rescue coming later. Calm had to be built now, inside the mess, breath by breath, gaze by gaze. He slept badly, but he woke with a plan that didn't rely on talent or luck. It relied on drills. He started by translating the old language into a modern playbook he could actually perform. Mushin, no mind, would mean acting without the inner commentator shouting sports commentary over every movement. In practice, it meant rehearsing until action could start before narration. Heijoshin, everyday mind, would mean refusing to make calm a special occasion. If he was only composed on game day, he would never be composed. Calm had to be the default tone, even while washing dishes or waiting at a crosswalk. And timing, Musashi's obsession, would be trained as initiative, not speed, but seizing the beat before fear swelled. In the language of fighters, sen no sen, to intercept the moment itself. In the language of meetings, answer cleanly before anxieties write the answer for you. He paired Musashi's ideas with physiology because he needed levers he could pull in real time. Long nasal exhales, he learned, can tilt the nervous system away from panic. Widening your visual field, softening the eyes to include the edges of the room, reduces the brain's sense of threat and loosens the tunnel. Naming sensations without judging them, jaw tight, heat in chest, can interrupt the loop that says, "This feeling means I'm failing." He wrote 3 bullets on an index card: eyes wide, exhale slow, name what is. Then he added a 4th, act into the beat. The card lived in his pocket. Training began small and embarrassing, the best way to begin. 10 minutes a day was the contract. He stood with his feet shoulder-width apart, knees unlocked, hands relaxed as if holding lightsabers that weren't there. He let his gaze go soft, no hard staring. He breathed in for a count of 4 and breathed out for a count of 6, then 7, then 8, through the nose. He read a paragraph from a book out loud, but only on the exhale. The first time he tried, he ran out of air halfway through a sentence and felt silly, which was perfect. Silliness starves perfection. He noticed a reflex in his body to jerk the inhale, to cheat the count, to hurry, even when alone in his living room. Pressure isn't only external, it lives in your timing. By day 3, he noticed something subtle. Between inhale and exhale, there was a moment, just a sliver, where decisions felt roomier, as if the choice had more oxygen. He didn't feel brave, he felt unhurried, which was new. The old narrator still tried to sprint. "This is too slow. Real life won't wait. You're rehearsing breathing while other people practice answers." He wrote back to it in the notebook. "Speed is a mood, timing is a skill." He kept going. He added a simple cue stack to make it portable. Anytime he felt a spike, a calendar alert, a Slack ping, someone saying his name, he whispered internally, "Feet, eyes, breath, act, feet, place them. Feel weight in the soles, the pressure at the big toe and heel. Eyes, soften. Find the corners of the room without moving the head. One long exhale, even if nobody notices. Act. Do one small, clean thing in the direction of the task. Name the objective. Ask the first clarifying question. State the core point in one sentence." The goal was not relaxation, it was control of initiative. Small field tests proved the training was portable. At a cafe counter, when the barista asked a question he didn't hear, instead of pretending he had, he widened his gaze, exhaled and said, "Say that once more." Cleanly, without apology. No flush, no scramble. On a call with a terse colleague, he used the exhale to answer the first question with a 10-word summary instead of a preamble. He hung up and felt a strange mix of pride and boredom, the way lifting a light weight with perfect form feels, not dramatic, but correct. Progress isn't fireworks, it's friction lowering. Resistance fought back as it always does. A friend mocked the soft eyes drill. The metronome practice, reading while a ticking app marked seconds, made him feel robotic. Worse, when he tried the exhale speech pattern in a real meeting, he ran out of air at a dumb moment and coughed. The room paused. Old shame surged. He wanted to throw out the entire method because a rep went ugly. That night, he reread a note from the book. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. If he could treat embarrassment as data, he could keep the reps. He wrote a new rule. Ugly counts are the best counts. The training evolved into a system because systems survive moods. He built 2 attentional swords, borrowing directly from Musashi's 2-blade style. The first sword was far attention, a constant 20% of awareness dedicated to the whole field, the edges of the conference room, the breathing of the person across from him, the rhythm of the group. The second sword was near attention, 80% placed lightly on the next micro-action only. This line, this answer, this step. Not the entire meeting, not the reputation, only the next clean cut. He practiced switching, wide to near to wide, every 10 to 20 seconds, like a pendulum. He didn't trust his feelings to tell him when to switch. He trusted a quiet timer on his phone and, eventually, an internal sense of beat. He built what he called stress ladders, the same task, steadily increasing friction. Ladder 1. Read a paragraph at home with soft eyes and exhale speech. Ladder 2. Same drill with a metronome ticking. Ladder 3. Record it on video and watch without judgment, only counting clean breaths and clear phrases. Ladder 4. Have a friend interrupt randomly with a question and respond in one sentence on the next exhale. 5. Ladder. Walk up and down stairs while explaining a concept in short, precise lines. Ladder 6. Do a 2-minute cold shower and summarize an idea in 3 points without speeding up. He kept the rungs close together so he could climb without drama. His log was simple, 3 columns: breath count, gaze width remembered, did I seize the first beat, numbers, yes, no, short notes. He added a pre-brief and debrief routine around real events. Before a meeting, 90 seconds of soft eyes and long exhale, a single index card with the sentence that mattered most, and a quiet commitment to answer the first question simply. After the meeting, 2 lines in the notebook. Where did I lose width? And where did I seize timing? No self-flogging, only calibration. He set guardrails that protected the system. No new hacks for 30 days, no chasing exotic techniques. He would master boring basics until they were invisible. Because he had always equated confidence with speed, he needed a drill to break the habit of racing. He practiced clean starts, beginning a response 1 heartbeat sooner than his hesitation. Not rushing, just refusing to let the inner narrator stack 3 opinions before he moved. The beat became a friend. After a week, he noticed that he could feel when a room inhaled collectively, when uncertainty thickened, and he could choose to put a decisive sentence into that vacuum, not longer sentences, cleaner ones. He wrote a short list of opening cuts, 1-line summaries he could deploy without preamble. The core risk is X. We have 2 options and 1 constraint. If we're wrong because of Y. He rehearsed them until they felt like muscle memory. The last piece was ego, the loudest saboteur. He removed stakes from an hour a day. He called it the ego fast, 60 minutes where outcomes didn't count, practicing delivery to a wall, answering imaginary objections, counting breaths with eyes on a doorframe, not caring how good he looked. He discovered how much panic was tied to appearing composed. If he could practice not performing calm, he could build real calm. When the need to look in control faded even 10%, the space to actually take control grew. By the end of 2 weeks, life had not become easy. It had become legible. He could read the signs of an oncoming spiral not as omens, but as cues. A slack jaw, good. Wide gaze, good. Shoulders lowering on the exhale, good. Tunnel vision, spot it, widen. The first beat, arriving, take it. He no longer asked, how do I remove the pressure? He asked, where is the opening? The room didn't change. He did, by millimeters, repeatedly, until the millimeters compounded into presence. The morning of the board review began with the kind of small inconveniences that usually knock the first brick out of a person's composure. The projector needed a firmware update. Someone had taken the whiteboard markers hostage for another meeting. 2 directors arrived late, rattling coffee cups through an already thin patience in the room. He felt the old reflex begin, vision wanting to tunnel, attention trying to sprint into the future where he would finally feel safe. He didn't bargain with it. He let the feeling pass through like weather while he quietly did the pre-brief under his breath. Soft eyes to catch the corners of the room, 1 clean exhale, the index card with the sentence that mattered most pressed under his thumb, a silent promise to answer the first question without a preamble. The VP said, "Okay, go," with the kind of tone that means you're already late. Pressure always opens with a shove. He let it shove. He didn't shove back. He stepped. The interruption came fast. 30 seconds into his framing, the VP cut across. "We don't have time for the philosophy. What's the risk?" In the past, that question would have detonated his sequence. He would have rushed to prove he had answers, stacking clauses until oxygen ran out. Instead, he executed the cue stack that now lived in his spine. Feet grounded, big toes, heels, eyes widened, panorama, no staring. 1 long breath, the kind you don't hear unless you're listening for it. Then act. 2 risks, 1 constraint. Not dramatic, just clean. It shifted the room by a few degrees, the way a good chess move feels. Not loud, but correct. He stole the beat. The CFO pounced on the graph of cache scenarios just as the HDMI flickered and the slide went grainy. An old version of Raphael would have apologized, fumbled with the laptop, and fallen behind the tempo he needed to set. He didn't give the glitch his attention. "I'll draw it," he said, already moving to the whiteboard with a dry erase marker he'd pocketed from his bag weeks ago precisely for this moment. 2 axes, 3 lines, conservative, base, aggressive. He kept 20% of his attention wide, the rhythm of breaths in the room, who had leaned back, who had leaned in, while his near attention rested lightly on the shape of the argument. Wide, precise, wide. The 2 swords. A director tried to wedge in a "but last quarter," and he cut it cleanly, not with force but with timing. If we match last quarter's cadence, we accept a 3-month delay. Is that the priority? He wasn't fighting. He was placing the room on a track where decision had to happen. Someone challenged the pricing assumption. Someone else pointed out a competitor's rumor. The meeting tried to become a hydra. He didn't swat heads. He reset to feet, eyes, breath, act. He let each challenge finish without the telltale half-breath of someone waiting to pounce. On the next exhale, he answered the simplest version of the question, not the most impressive. When he didn't know, he said, "Unknown. Here are the 2 consequences of being wrong," and drew boxes around them. That sentence ended 3 speculative tangents at once. Calm was not the absence of heat, it was the refusal to feed it with extra narrative. Halfway through, he lost slide 13 entirely, clicked past it, couldn't find it, the projector hiccuped again, and the room did that collective micro-freeze that means we smell blood. He felt the flush rise. He didn't try to crush it. He widened the gaze until the windows and the doorframe were inside his awareness, exhaled once, and narrated his next action in 1 plain sentence. "We'll do it without the slide." A rectangle, 4 bullet points, a single number inside each. He made the writing slower than he felt, and let the silence belong to him while he drew. The VP stopped tapping their pen. He felt the hinge, the meeting moved from speed to timing. When the CFO shifted forward in her chair, he knew the question before it arrived because he'd rehearsed the room, not the slides. "What's your upside if you're early? And what's the cost if you're late?" He didn't let the narrative spool. Early buys us learning and optionality in Q3. Late forces discounting and burns trust. We're choosing which pain we prefer. He didn't say more. He let the sentence land. Silence is a blade if you hold it correctly. A director finally said, "So it's speed to learning versus margin protection." He nodded. "Yes. Which do we optimize for?" He had transferred the dilemma into their hands without drama, and in doing so, reclaimed tempo. This is what Sen, no Sen, looks like in a conference room, intercepting the beat and shaping it. Not everything sang. He misread a face and answered a worry that wasn't there. He said 4 times in a row when a question arrived sideways. But the old freefall never came. He took small ground repeatedly, 1 clean sentence here, 1 steady gaze, reset there. The room's hostility softened from aggressive to rigorous. The VP finally said, "Okay, what's your 1-line core?" He didn't decorate it. "We accept short-term volatility to buy speed to truth." That sentence ended the argument more effectively than 100 slides could have, because it gave everyone a frame to agree or disagree with. The meeting ended not with applause, but with something better. Clarity. In the hallway, a colleague whispered, half awed and half unnerved, "You were weirdly calm." He smiled because he knew what weirdly meant. It meant he hadn't performed calm, he had removed hurry. He walked outside, found a patch of cold air, and did a 2-line debrief into his notebook leaning against a wall. Lost width when the graph glitched, recovered with whiteboard. Seized timing with the 2 risks, 1 constraint cut. He entered 2 numbers below. Time to first cut, 18 seconds. Longest exhale, 7 counts. He didn't write, "Be more confident." Confidence wasn't the point. Control of beat was. The shift didn't announce itself with trumpets. It arrived the way dawn does, by degrees you only notice when you compare to night. A week later, someone raised their voice at him on a cross-functional call. He felt the spike punch through his ribs and watched it pass as if it were happening across a table. "Let's slow the question down," he said. not as a tactic, but because he had already slowed himself. At a dinner, a relative tried to bait him into a political monologue. He saw the old hook gleam, widened his gaze to include the clink of glasses at the next table, exhaled and asked a boring, precise question that drained the drama out of the conversation without humiliating anyone. He wasn't being chill. He had moved the locus of control from how others behaved to how he cut. On a late train, a stranger bumped him hard and then stared, daring him. He noticed the urge to prove something, the most expensive urge in the world, and he let it dissolve. Calm is not passivity. It is the absence of unnecessary motion. He stepped half a pace to the side, created clean space, and returned his eyes to the wider field. No sermon, no posture. The stranger lost interest because there was nothing to feed on. He realized that he had become slightly less personal inside his own skin. There was more room in there. Musashi calls it the void. Modern language would call it clear awareness. It felt like standing in a quiet room while the weather changed outside. He discovered that the method worked because it wasn't a mood, it was a sequence. The sequence worked because it mapped to bodies, not theories. And the body would now run it whether or not the ego was in the mood. He stopped trying to look composed. He started caring about being clean. That's the identity shift, moving from I act calm when I can to I remove clutter so timing can emerge. People started saying the same line in different rooms. You're scary calm. He knew what they meant. He had recovered the part of himself that doesn't hurry and that unnerves people who worship momentum over timing. Because you can't grow into this by accident, he wrote himself, and anyone who asked a manual that wasn't a manifesto. It was a set of drills you could do if you were serious about making composure default. Daily baseline, 12 to 15 minutes every day. Soft eyes plus long exhale, 3 minutes. Stand or sit tall. Let the visual field widen until the corners of the room enter awareness. Inhale through the nose for 4, exhale for 6 to 8. Do not chase a feeling, count cleanly. Exhale, articulation, 4 minutes. Read aloud on the exhale only. When you run out of air, stop mid-sentence. Inhale quietly. Resume on the next exhale. This couples clarity with parasympathetic control. 2-sword attention drill, 3 minutes. Set a gentle timer to vibrate every 15 seconds. For 15 seconds, keep 20% of attention wide, room, sounds, periphery, and 80% on a line of text. On the next 15 seconds, flip to a different micro-task. Summarize the line in 5 words. Alternate for the full time. Timing rehearsal, 2 to 3 minutes. Practice 5 first cuts you can deploy anywhere. Examples. We have 2 options. The core risk is X. If we're wrong because of Y. Deliver each once, cleanly, without a preamble. Stress ladders, same skill, rising friction. Do the baseline alone in a quiet room. Add a metronome at 60 beats per minute and keep speech only on exhale beats that span 2 ticks. Record yourself. Watch only for breath counts and sentence clarity, no critique of how you look. Add interruptions. A friend throws 1 question per minute. You respond in 1 sentence on the next exhale. Add mild physical load. Stand on 1 foot, then switch feet every 20 seconds while speaking. Add temperature. Do a 2-minute cold shower or step outside in chill air while explaining a concept in 3 short cuts. Add motion. Walk a hallway and stop randomly to deliver a first cut sentence without ramp up. Add noise, cafe, office bustle, music at low volume. Keep the sequence. Feet, eyes, breath, act. Add stakes. Present a 2-minute update to your team with no slides, only a whiteboard. Add antagonism. Ask a trusted colleague to push back sharply twice, maintain wide gaze and answer the simplest true version of the question. Tactical resets when pressure spikes. 5-second reset, in the heat. Plant feet. Soften eyes to include periphery. 1 long breath out through the nose. Act. Deliver 1 clean sentence or ask 1 clarifying question. 30-second reset between segments. Step out or turn away. Shake out hands loosely, 3 cycles of 4 in, 8 out, then state your one-line core out loud. 2-minute reset before major events. Baseline routine, then visualize the room's rhythm changing and you intercepting it with your first cut. Phrase bank, to set tempo without aggression. Let's slow the question down. What's the simplest version of it? 2 paths, 1 constraint. Do we prefer speed to learning or margin protection? Unknown. If we're wrong because of Eok. I'll draw it. 1 sentence, then specifics. We can decide now or collect 1 data point. What do you prefer? Pause. Core point. Metrics that make progress visible. Latency to first cut. Seconds from being asked to your first clean sentence. You want consistent, not rushed. Exhale length under pressure. Count it during a meeting. Write the longest you held while speaking cleanly. Gaze width pings. How many times you remembered periphery in a high-pressure block. Aim for at least 4 per 10 minutes. Words per sentence. Under heat, your average sentence length should shrink. Clear beats, clever. Tempo steals. Number of times you reframed with a question or one-line core. Ego fast. 1 hour per day. Outcomes don't matter. Practice without metrics. Speak to a wall. Answer imaginary interruptions. Do the drills in a silly hat. The goal is to starve the addiction to looking composed so you can build composition. If boredom arrives, you're near the muscle that matters. Weekly review. 10 minutes, pen plus paper. Where did I lose width? What was the cue I missed? Where did I seize timing? What preceded it? What 1 sentence will I install as this week's default opening cut? Common errors and antidotes. Overslowing. You're turning calm into molasses. Antidote. Practice delivering a first cut 1 heartbeat earlier than your hesitation. Hard staring. You're trying to look confident. Antidote. Widen gaze. Pick 2 opposite corners of the room with peripheral vision. Apology spirals. You keep saying sorry for normal friction. Antidote. Replace with I'll draw it or we'll do it without the slide. Breath chasing. You're trying to feel relaxed before acting. Antidote. Act on the next exhale, whether or not you feel ready. 30-day progression. What changes when you actually do it? Days 1 to 7. Learn the sequence. Log 3 metrics. Climb stress ladder to rung 4. Expect awkward. Celebrate ugly reps. Days 8 to 14. Add whiteboard reps, timing rehearsals, and 1 real-life tempo steal per day. 1 clean first cut in a meeting or conversation. Days 15 to 21. Introduce antagonism and noise. Measure latency to first cut under heat. Run 5-second resets deliberately at least 5 times. Days 22 to 30. Remove crutches, fewer slides, more core sentences. Run a 5-minute presentation with only a marker. Teach 1 drill to a friend. Teaching locks the pattern. Emergency blueprint. When everything goes sideways. 1 long exhale. We'll do it without thing that broke. Draw 2 boxes, option A/option B, write 1 trade-off in each. Ask, which pain do we prefer? Close with, core, jasiek. This ends spirals because it gives the room a beat and a place to stand. Everyday life integrations, where this actually sticks. On phone calls, answer the very first question with a 10-word sentence before any explanation. In disagreements, name the smallest point of agreement in 1 line. Then ask the next question. In email, lead with your first cut on line 1. Details below. In sports or workouts, call the rep on the exhale. Don't grunt on effort. Exhale through it. In commute stress, widen gaze to include mirrors and side windows. Label sensations, jaw tight, without story. Signals you're becoming the method, not doing it. You notice urges and choose timings. You say less and move earlier. People interrupt you less because you give them frames that satisfy. You recover from embarrassment without bargaining with it. You feel more space in moments that used to feel airless. On a quiet evening weeks later, Raphael rifled his old notebooks and found the sentence he had written on the worst night. I don't need more courage. I need more space. He smiled because he understood it differently now. Space isn't given. It's created by how you place your attention and when you cut. The calm that scares people is not a mask. It's an absence. The removal of hurry, the draining of vanity, the refusal to negotiate with panic's timeline. When pressure knocks, you won't become someone else. You will become the person beneath the noise, and the room will feel it, often before you do. If this video helped, share it with someone who deserves to stop spiraling and start cutting. Subscribe for more field manuals like this. Practical, ancient, and tested under heat. I'm glad you were here. Now go practice in the real arena. I'll see you in the next one.